Countdown to football season here in the City of Trees has officially hit single digits. It is game week for the Boise State football team. 1 week from today, they travel down to Orlando to take on UCF. And that means it's time to start back the podcast back up. Welcome into Jay's Sports Bar, and throughout the fall, I'm going to have two Boise State legends joining me as we progress through the Boise State football season. Shea McClellin, first-round draft pick by the Chicago Bears in 2012, and, of course, Shane Williams-Rhodes, 232 catches. If he forgets, I always remind him, the second most in school history. Shea, I begin with you. How excited are you for football season? I know you're repping the Coal Valley Christian colors today, too.
It's right there, baby. Yes, sir. Hey, we got a game in 2 days. I'm excited, not just for high school, for college, for NFL. I can't wait to get everything started.
Shane, what about you? I know that you're very connected to the local sports scene now more than ever, probably.
Yeah, I'm repping my shirt, as you see. Metal Sports, Precy, kids gym out in Nampa, trying to give back to the community. You know, I love it here, and it's my way of giving back.
Yeah, I know you and your wife kind of have a dynamic going on out there. She runs her business and you run yours, but they kind of work in unison, I'd say.
Yeah, so the facility we have, my wife's dance studio upstairs, then downstairs right under her is my speed and agility center, and then connected to it, we have 4 basketball courts. We have a lot of the club teams out in that area now, from Idaho Crush to Idaho Bags, just all those guys. They rent out the space. Good.
Ever since Shane hung him up at Boise State, we've held on to you. We've never let go of you. Shea, believe it or not, you moved away for a little bit. You went down to California. But what brought you back?
Idaho's home, man. Yeah, I moved to California for a couple of years. It was just more of an extended vacation, really. Just to have some fun down there. I coached down there, some high school ball too. But yeah, at the end of the day, Idaho's home. You know, this is where my family's at. That's where I got to be.
I just want to be kind of transparent. My microwave went out over the summer, so I had to go get a new one. And I was at RC Willie, and I'm pulling around back to pick it up, and I look up, and I'm like, oh Shea.
Yeah.
What happened on your way back to Idaho, Shea?
Oh yeah, man. Rough story. Moving back to Idaho, we hired a moving company, and the semi truck driving pretty much 99% of our stuff. The brakes caught on fire. Everything caught on fire. So pretty much everything was lost. Luckily, when we drove up here, we brought like our most valuable stuff. So I still have my rings and all my college stuff and NFL stuff. So, but I did lose all my high school stuff, Letterman jacket, everything. So that's kind of unfortunate. And of course, everything we had in our house. But life goes on. Got to take the punches and keep rolling.
I'm kind of surprised that your Letterman's jacket wasn't like already framed in the hallway out of Marston High School.
No, not at all, man. It was in the closet.
Yeah. Shifting our attention back to the alma mater, Shane, your playing career actually overlapped a little bit with Andy Avalos. Now I know that he was on a different side of the ball, but what was your reaction when you heard that Andy was returning home to Boise State, and maybe what have you heard since from the players so far?
Shea or Shane. I guess we both kind of overlap, right?
Dude, I don't know if you're saying Shea or Shane, but then you said the other side of the ball. I was like, oh, okay. I think it's Shane, but I don't know if you said Shea. My bad.
Shane, we'll work through this, and there's going to be a day where we actually might all get to do this podcast in a given room, but for right now, those COVID protocols are lingering. So this is what we're left with, but we'll get there. But either way, yeah. Shea, I'll get to you in a second because I know that you have an opinion on this. Shane, we'll lead it off with you.
So I think obviously most of the guys there weren't there when Avalos was there originally. I think you might have some of those seniors that might have been there, but I think they like him. I guess it comes down to comparing them to what they just had. So I know everybody has their own opinions about certain coaches, but I think they like the vibe that Avalos is giving off, especially with him playing there and coming back. He's always been all in on Boise State. I also feel like just from talking to him in the spring, it seems like he feels good about what he has around him and what he's walked into because obviously he was comparing a few positions and a few of the positions that we have to what he had at Oregon. So that's a good sign.
I think the thing that's kind of interesting about Andy is it's his outreach. He keeps preaching the brotherhood, and it just feels like he wants everybody to be a part of this program, past, present, current, whatever it might be. Shea, what is your interactions, or what have your interactions been like with Andy since he was hired?
I've talked to him a few times, and it's been great. He definitely wants the alumni around, and I think he wants to get those guys speaking to the current Broncos, and just kind of how we did things back in the day, and get our mindset how it was, and keep that blue collar mentality. I think that's what he's trying to do, and he's been big on keeping getting alumni around, which is huge, I think, for the program. It's something that Harsin kind of got away with, and it was unfortunate to see. But I think, not only the current players, but I think all the former players are super excited about it too.
Shea, why does that matter? Why is that significant? Why having guys, like you and DeMarcus Lawrence and Matt Paradis? I mean, why does it matter to have guys like that still attached and affiliated with the program?
Well, I think if you bring guys in like that, those players really listen to those dudes because it's dudes that made it. You know what I mean? So you bring them in and you let, dudes that made it to the NFL and worked hard and, not only had talent, but, were hard workers. And you come in and talk to the team and see what you got to do to make it and, win games. I think that helps out a lot.
Yeah. Shane, I know that, Coach Avalos even almost went a step further with you to the point where you were almost, you were considering maybe joining his staff for a little while.
Yeah. It was, I guess just depends on where you're at in life, but based off where I'm at with the gym, obviously with the NCAA and all the rules, became a conflict of interest because every kid that comes into the gym is now recruitable. So I had to, weigh the options. It's kind of something me and my wife went in with, with the business. And so I chose to kind of stay on that end. I also, got scorned by my wife and my mom, for turning the job down. But I soon quickly reminded my wife how things used to be when we played. So she remembered those long days, the fall camp days, how it was more than a full-time job. So she was definitely happy that I was to stay with the gym.
So Andrea wasn't just trying to get you out of the house a little more?
Now she started thinking about it. She realized that the coaches are usually there longer than the players. She was like, yeah, I need some help at the house with the baby. So we're going to just stick with the gym.
Okay. Help with the baby or control over, the TV remote, Netflix, whatever, I guess. But help with the baby. Help with the babies better. How much is this going to help this football team this fall? Because you do feel like there's a new energy. And I'll go back to when Brian Harsin was hired. He was replacing Chris Peterson. And we still heard like there was a new way, a new energy. So how much do you feel like this is cliche? And how much do you feel like it is real? And I'm going to start with you, Shane, because you were there through this transition. You saw Coach Pete leave and Brian Harsin come in.
There could be a lot of positive things when you get new coaches. Sometimes it's just, just changes, a lot of times like when Pete was there, because obviously I came in my first year, we had Pete, then my second year, people started getting complacent, things like that. So when you get new eyes on you, you work a little bit harder, you need to prove yourself to the new staff. So I feel like for us personally, my junior year, when we went to the festival, that year was just, we had such a bad year the year before. It was a lot of complacency. Obviously all the shenanigans that happened at the bowl game. We had a lot go on. So we had to get to work. And so I think that kind of helped us having a different staff, new coaches. We kind of wanted to show what we had. So I think that can help in that aspect. I also feel like just in the past, based on when we got new coaches, whether it was when Pete came in and when Harsin came in, we've had a lot of success when we switch coaches, which is weird, but it's how history has shown.
That is weird. I mean, like in the last two times there's been a coaching change at Boise State, the Broncos have gone on to play in a Fiesta Bowl in that initial year. Shea, can you pinpoint any reason why?
Well, I think part of it might be, I think there's a newfound energy when you get a new coach. I think to reiterate what Shane was saying, you go out there and I think you go a little bit extra because, like he said, you got to prove to these new coaches what you got. Not all the time they know what you're about. So I think there's definitely more energy. I think you think back on it when Harsin first got hired, there was definitely a lot of energy, a new energy that first year, and it's kind of similar how it is this year. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of newfound energy, so I think that's part of it for sure.
Okay, Shea, how does that energy become genuine though? Like we talk about energy and leadership and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, you are just trying to create an atmosphere where more or less your players are going to be willing to run through a wall for you. And I know that maybe that's not the way that Andy Avalos completely views this, but if you can get your players to do that, you will have a connected team that is tough, that is also selfless. So how do you get the message to be genuine? And do you think Andy Avalos's approach is genuine? Because it certainly seems so.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think it's genuine. I think, as a coach, I think if you keep harping on the same things over and over and every day, I think it becomes genuine. You might be faking it at first or whatever, as a player, fake it till you make it. But I think once, Avalos is harping, the blue collar mentality, the Bronco way over and over every day, playing hard, playing fast, getting off blocks, that kind of thing. I think it just naturally becomes genuine.
Mm-hmm. Shane, when Shea said "fake it till you make it," you smirked there, and I do like we kind of laugh about that, but like there's some genuineness to even that because I know the dog days, man, people are tired, they don't want to go to practice, but you better fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah, no, we that's kind of something we hear a lot in fall camp, especially when you have those new guys come in. They don't know what to expect going into camp. You get to about day 6 or 7, and energy is gone. Like you're just trying to get through. And so that's something that the older guys used to say all the time when I first got there was, if you don't have any energy, you better fake it till you make it. Usually if someone starts, faking it, it kind of gets contagious. And then, even if it's fake, it might not be fake for the next person. So that fake it till you make it comment was pretty funny.
Shea, when you were here, how much did you guys go team in practice? And the reason why I ask you that is because I heard during the middle part of fall camp this year, they actually did a lot more team, maybe than they typically would. And so I played back in high school, so I can't compare myself to you guys, but I do remember that was the best part of practice, right? Like you looked forward to that part of practice. But how much did you do while you were playing for Boise State, Shea, and what do you think the benefit of playing, doing more team is? Because it means more contact probably, so practices might be a little more physical.
Yeah, I think, for us, I think we did about, 20 minutes of individual and, we would have special teams periods throughout the day, 5-10 minutes of special teams, 2-3 periods a day. And then the rest was team, or we were doing 9-on-7 drills or half line, 7-on-7. But I think a good amount of the practice was team. I definitely think it's important, you get those individual drills because there's stuff you learn there and the little techniques and the details you have to get down before you take it to team. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that's important. But at the end of the day, man, you need reps, repetition and preparation is key. So I think, team is more important than anything. You need those reps. There's nothing like reps. So I think the more reps you can get at team and going, good on good, ones versus ones, I think it's definitely beneficial to the team.
So that's kind of a glimpse at the Chris Peterson era because that's who you played for. Shane, you overlapped with both, but what was the Brian Harsin era like in those regards?
I'd say we probably did. If you had 21 period practice, you had about 5 or 6 periods that were team. So a quarter of the practice. Uh, I don't think we did enough individual. Just kind of hindsight looking back, I feel like there's a lot of things. Now I do, obviously, I do position specific work with kids now here in the Valley. And a lot of these guys, I mean, our coaches, like Shea, our high school coaches don't get enough time in the day to teach these kids. Obviously, they can tell them where to go, but being able to break down and tell them how to get there, and if you get pressed in this situation, we have this route. How do you still get open? Those kind of things. And I feel like that's something that I could have used more when I was at Boise State, just being able to do more individual stuff to kind of teach me and dive deeper into how to get places and how to get open, rather than just telling me I have this route and just to get there, So I definitely would have requested a lot more individual.
Huh. Shea, what's your reaction to that? I mean, obviously, see you nodding your head.
Yeah.
You said like almost half the practice with Pete would have been team, and I mean, I don't know if all periods are the same amount of time, but Shane is saying about a quarter or so under Harsin was team.
Yeah, I was surprised. That's surprising, honestly. I think a period for us was 5 minutes, and we usually had anywhere from 22 to 27 periods a day, and probably 3 to 5, depending on the day, would be individual, and then 3 to 5 special teams, and then the rest you got team 7-on-7 or half line. So yeah, I mean, what you said you guys had 5 periods of team. That's not a lot. So, and
I guess when I refer to team, I'm referring to ones versus twos type situations, not necessarily a 7-on-7 or a half line pass type deal, but more of like the actual entire team. Yeah, probably a quarter.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, I think you need individual, right? You need team. But I guess we're kind of on the same boat. I guess if you go from just team, we probably had, I don't know, 6 to 8 periods. So it's pretty similar. So, yeah.
I got you. Yeah. What are you guys most excited about, like seeing? I mean, it's funny. We've been pretty limited in terms of our access to practice in the media. We've got a chance to go out there a few times. Most of it was, towards the end of fall camp. Shea, what are you most excited to see unveiled a week from the day in Orlando against a really good UCF team?
Yeah, I'm excited to see if we can protect the quarterback and run the ball, honestly. I've switched to the offensive side of the ball now, so I'm, more excited about offense and to see what they can do. And you got to protect your quarterback, man, at the end of the day. And I think that's something they had trouble with last year. And, I don't think that's necessarily on the players. I think that's more coaching. So, I know we have dudes on the offensive line that can protect. So I'm excited to see if, Hank has some time back there. And also, from what I've heard, the OC likes to pass. So I'm excited to see if we can run the ball too. You can't be one-dimensional. You got to run the ball before you pass. One-dimensional defenses can key on that. So I'm hoping we can run the ball effectively, efficiently.
I don't even know how to respond to that, Shea. You were all conference defensive player at Boise State. You played in the league, and you barely even mentioned the fact that now a defensive head coach is leading Boise State. What are they going to do on defense? What's it going to look like? You give me straight offense. Shane, where do you stand on this? What are you most excited to see?
Mine is, I'm gonna have to piggyback off what Shea said. I'm offensive side, so I want to know what our identity is. I know obviously we have a coach who wants to sling it, but we have some good backs, and so like you said, I would love to see us establish a run. We have some backs who can, so I want to see what our identity is going to be. It's going to be really interesting to see. I feel like last year with injuries, we're all over the place, you started the season off, you kind of wanted to run it, and then you kind of transition. Now you want to throw it. Then we didn't have a run game. And it was just kind of. So I want to see what our identity is.
Yeah, we'll get to defense in a little bit since you guys want to talk offense. I feel like we can kind of predict a little bit what that defense is going to look like because we know Andy Avalos. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator here. I feel like it's got to mimic or at least come close to what he did in the past at Boise State. But on offense, I mean, this is a new offensive coordinator. And in all likelihood, gone are all the pre-snapped shifts and motions. Like they're still going to be incorporated in some capacity, obviously, but it's not going to be, three tight ends on a field switching spots and doing pirouettes, right? Like that's what I would assume out of this Tim Plow offense. So, Shane, do you think that you're going to miss that part of Boise State football because it was kind of synonymous with Boise State football for a long time? Now, I'll bring this up too. I mean, you were there with Robert Prince. I dare I say that year when that switch of mindset on offense was, it sparked a reaction throughout the Boise State fan base. But curious your take on what we might see with this offense.
I'm not sure. The way I feel about it is I think we have to change with the times. Offense now, the league even, they're throwing the ball. There's not many the ball is consistent, what we're used to seeing. Even if you look at a school like Alabama, I mean, when I was in high school, Alabama was a pro-style offense. You didn't really draft quarterbacks from Alabama. You were getting a running back, you were getting great offensive linemen, like a pro style. Now look at Alabama now, they throw the ball more than they run, even though they still have the best backs coming out of there. I think we got to change with it. That's why I like the new hire at OC, because I feel like he's going to take us in the right direction.
Yeah, Alabama's dropping bombs now. Obviously, it's I am really. I mean, I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm really eager to see what this offense looks like because back in the spring, we heard that it was going to be kind of that up tempo attack, and at the spring scrimmage, granted they only had like half the playbook installed, but it seemed to kind of lack that pace that we were kind of teased about. I think that has picked up at practice. I think you will see something quite a bit different against UCF than you saw in the spring game. And heck, even Andy Avalos said that the way the quarterbacks have operated throughout the last few weeks, it is a night and day difference. Like it's not even worth talking about the spring because that's how big of a difference it's going to be. Shea, I know it's a smaller scale, but you have had to, teach a new offense to your football players at Coal Valley. How hard is that process? Like, how long does it take? At what point in time does it all start to click?
Yeah, man. Honestly, we just started to click a couple of weeks ago. So it's not easy, and for myself, I had to learn a whole new offense, and then teach it to the kids and, lots of talks with the quarterback. It's not easy. It definitely takes offense longer to gel than it does defense. And I think that's why at the spring game you saw, the offense, it didn't look quite there yet. And I think you could tell, and the defense was flying around and making plays. And I mean, it takes a while, man. You got to get everyone on the same page and just keep repping and repping and repping, until it clicks, and, it's not an easy process, for sure. And, I think, like you said, they're probably by now they should be clicking. They got a game next week, so they should be rolling and getting after it. So yeah, I'm definitely excited.
If they're not, fake it till they make it, right?
Exactly. Fake the energy until you create real energy. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. I do feel like they've probably got it going now. And you've heard that from the defensive guys. I mean, like, as you were saying, Shea, like early on in fall camp, things are just a little more vanilla on offense while you just figure out the basics. So the defense is usually ahead. But in this most recent scrimmage, Boise had 9 explosive plays on offense. Heard a lot about C.T. Thomas. You get Shea, you brought this up earlier in terms of that protection. Andy told us that they converted some big 3rd and longs, and it was because that offensive line was able to hold up against the pressure. Shane, for you, at what point in time in fall camp did it really start to like pick up to where it was no longer like here's base stuff, get that figured out. Now let's go. Like, what point in time did you guys start to hit the accelerator?
What is fall camp? Typically about 21 days, 22?
Yeah, about, yep. The preseason, I would say, would span about that long.
I think when you get to about day 13, at that point, you know your identity of the offense. You know what our base is. You know what we're going to do. And at that point, that's when, well, in the past, I don't know how it's going to be now, but that's when the 60 different personnel start to get chimed in there. So you started getting different guys on the field to run certain plays, and now you need to know what personnel is supposed to be on the field for this set of 3 plays. That personnel can only have 3 plays, and then another personnel could have 12, and then another one could have 5. And so now you need to know if you're the backup for that personnel. So that's when it started to get tough. I know personally for me, it was because like my first year, the way they kind of put me in there was they would say, all right, you're going to have 3 personnels. You're never going to be in on base offense. We're going to put you in on 3 different personnels. And these 3 different personnels, you have 3 plays on this one, 2 on this one, and 5 on this one. These are the only 10 plays you need to know. And then Matt Miller, Matt Miller would literally take me onto the field. Him and Prince would take me onto the field, and I would be on the sideline. This is by myself, only one. He would call a personnel. I'd run out on the field, and sometimes he would say, "You only have 2 plays on this personnel, and I need you to know what play it is. Go on the right side of the field. I'm not going to even tell you the play, and I want you to run it." And so it was like that. That's how much we broke it down, and they had to kind of drill it into me my first year. It was tough coming in with all those different things coming on. But I think once you hit day 13, that's when things start to change, because now you're prepping for week 1. Everything is focused on, obviously, whoever the first game was, and they want to start trying to attack the defense that we're going to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shane, layman's terms here for the casual listener or viewer, whatever. When you say 60 different personnels, you were involved in 3 your first year. Now, you were a true freshman that actually contributed to the football team. So basically what you're saying is that your role was very specific of when you would go on the field. How hard is it to expand from knowing 3 different types of personnels to 60?
Okay, so the way it was, so my first 3 weeks, I say, because they didn't want me to go out there and it just be overwhelming. What kind of sucked is I knew the base plays, which is what you practice on all fall camp, but the base plays weren't what I ran. It was my specific stuff to get me the ball. So literally what I mean by that is a normal base personnel could be Falcon. So you would have the starting 3 receivers are on the field. But by just saying Falcon 11, so since I was number 11, that could take out whoever the starting H was. So when I was there, it was Chris Potter. So that would take Chris Potter out, put me in. And then they could say Falcon 29. That would then take me out, or maybe take someone else out at another position. That could literally change one person. And that one person coming in would be him probably getting the ball. Just simple things like that. But it was literally 60 different personnels. And then where it really got tough is you couldn't just go into the game saying, okay, I know I'm only on 3 personnels. That's all I need to know, because we do before the game, the day before the game, we do backups. And so they'll send the whole offense out and they'll say, Shane's hurt, Matt Miller's hurt. And then the next 2 people who are supposed to replace them, whether it's a special personnel or a base offense personnel, you have to step in. So you have to be backups on certain personnel too. So now you need to know those too. So it was tough. It was really tough that first year.
I love how we all sit up in the press box and we try to react to what you guys are doing down there on the field, or whether it be, Monday morning quarterbacks sitting on their couch cushions at home, and we pretend that we can even relate to what you guys are trying to go through. I mean, it's insane. Not to mention, you guys probably have headaches because, I mean, you're running into other human beings throughout the whole entire game. When it comes to, actually, real quick, Shane, was it really Falcon, by the way? Is that what they called when it was you to go out there, Shane?
That was a personnel, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's cool. Yeah. Boise State now has a quarterback. Shea, you played on the defensive side of the ball at Boise State. I get that, but once that quarterback was figured out, how much did that give the team momentum and just this level of comfort that you're ready to charge forward, or maybe it didn't. I don't know, but I would assume that having stability there just gave everybody a ton of confidence.
I think looking back on it, we were just focused on our jobs. I don't think we were really worried about obviously we had Kellen, so we knew we knew he was going to be the quarterback, so it was easy for us, right? Whatever, we just got to go do our jobs. But I think even like my freshman year, before it was between Bush and Kellen, like for myself, I wasn't thinking about who was going to be quarterback. I don't think anyone else was either. I think we were just focused on what we have to do as a defense to get the job done there, and whoever's quarterback, we believe in them. Whoever's going to be. And then, luckily for us, for 4 years, we had Kellen, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever in college. So, we were very, very fortunate.
Okay, Shea, what was your reaction, though, when you saw that Kellen actually was contending for that starting quarterback job? I mean, hey, we can't take anything away from Kellen's production. As you said, he's the greatest ever. He's 50-3. He's the GOAT. Nobody's touched that record. Nobody might ever come close to that record. But, I mean, come on, Kellen, trotting out there with his shaggy hair and his left arm. I mean, like, what? Do you remember the moment that you thought, like, oh man, like this kid actually is for real?
Well, definitely that Oregon game. That was his first game. But looking back on it, I think as anybody, you hear a freshman's going to be playing quarterback, you're kind of just a little nervous. You know what I mean? But it's the coach's decision to make the best calls, and obviously they made the best call there. One of the greatest quarterbacks ever. So, but like I said, man, you're always like, oh, freshman, is he going to be able to? He has never done. Is he going to be used to the speed? Like, is it going to be too much for him? And obviously it wasn't, too much for Kellen. And I think, Coach Pete and Coach Harsin knew that was the case, and, ended well for us.
Did Kellen have to address the team or anything after he was named the starting quarterback? I mean, do you remember how that was revealed to the team? I know it was a long time ago, but do you remember any of those details?
No, man. I've been hitting the head way too many times, bro, to remember that. I don't think it was ever revealed to the team, but
okay. Hey, at least you got a ring for all those hits to the head there, Shea.
I gotta ask a quick question, Shea.
Hit it, Shane.
Shea, I guess we're a little biased. You got to play with, I guess, two of the best quarterbacks on two different levels. What were some of the similarities you saw in Kellen and Tom Brady?
Honestly, I think their competitiveness, man. They just wanted to win, and you can tell by their preparation, the way they prepared, the way they led the team. I think that's the similarities you see in greatness in leaders and quarterbacks. I think it's preparation and competitiveness, man. At the end of the day.
How is Kellen competitive though? He's like the nicest guy. He hardly ever seems fiery. And when you think of somebody that's competitive, you think of somebody that swears, pushes people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Willing to do whatever it takes to win. But everybody that you hear explain Kellen say he was competitive, but he couldn't be further from some of those things that I just mentioned, that you would assume competitive people are or have.
Yeah, well, I think, obviously he was quiet, and if you compare him to someone like his competitiveness to Tom Brady expresses it. But I think Kellen's a competitive dude, man. Obviously he doesn't show it, but I mean, there's times in practice he messes up. He gets a little cuss words in there, man. So it's in him, but you guys just never saw it. All right. So I think he just does it under his breath, or he did it under his breath, but it's there, man. Trust me. And obviously, he didn't want to lose. All right. And he was a competitive guy, man. He's always trying to win. So it's there. You just never saw it.
So we can confirm that Kellen Moore. we can confirm that Kellen Moore has
Kellen curses too.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I gotta say, Shea, I've heard some stories that you were a decent trash talker back in the day.
quiet. Yeah.
I also
Man,
heard Chase.
What's that?
Go for it, Shay. As I say, I also heard that Chase Baker was a terrible trash talker.
Yeah, because he didn't want to cuss, man.
Yep,
He was
that's
too
why.
nice. But man, hey, when you get on the field, it's different, man. And it's time to, I got to pump myself up somehow. So for me, that was talking trash. I can't repeat what I said. Obviously, I'm working at a private Christian school now, but I have to tone that down for sure. And you know what? The NFL made it even worse because everybody talks crap. Everyone talks crap in the NFL. Every play, there's somebody talking crap. And usually it's the DBs and wide receivers because, that's what they do. They learn it at a young age. But, when you get to the NFL, everyone's talking smack. So, but, that was just the way to pump me up and get me going. And, people didn't expect it, too, because I was so quiet off the field. But get on the field, it's different.
Yeah, apparently you flip a switch there, Shay, because I remember our interviews with you back in college, and it was, straight up, it was tough to get a word out of you at times. And then
yeah, I hated it. I'm gonna be honest, I hated it. Yeah, I hated it so much. I hated any interviews. I mean, I liked you guys. You guys were cool, but I hated doing interviews, and I didn't want to be there. And you could tell by my answers for sure. I was like, "Yeah, we're good. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye."
Hey, how much of that was the fact that, Boise State has been known to have let's just call it a tight ship when it comes to, what they let out. Was that in your guys' minds before you would do interviews? Shay?
Definitely. Wait, did you say Shay?
Yeah, Shay, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. And we would do like mock interviews in front of the team, So we were always ready for it, and I think the less you say, the better, especially in the media. So that's why I'll give you one sentence. That's all you're gonna get. You ain't gonna get nothing else out of me. And then you'll try to ask me the same question, all right? And then I'm gonna give you the same answer. You just try to word it differently, all right? I know how you guys work, all right, Jay, over there, and I'm gonna give you the same answer, man. All right, I ain't gonna get in trouble by Coach Pete. All right, I ain't gonna be running decks, okay? But yeah,
wait.
For sure.
So the penalty for revealing too much information was like adding on a deck.
Well,
and for people that don't know what decks are, that's obviously conditioning you guys do over inside Albertson Stadium.
Well, not giving too much information. I think it was more of like, oh, this team's trash, this week.
Gotcha.
If we're playing someone like New Mexico and we're like, yeah, if we were like to say something like, yeah, we'll be fine. I mean, these guys are bad, we couldn't say stuff like that. We always had to say, hey, our mind's ready for this week. And it wasn't, you know what I mean? It's like, it's New Mexico week. Like, we know we're going to beat them by 60 points. It's just what it is. But we had to say to everyone out there that, all right, yeah, we're focused. All right, this is going to be a tough game. I mean, they're really tough. They run the ball well. They pass the ball well. Always, that we had to mask it to you guys. That's just the way it is, man.
Gosh, it is so much better to talk to you guys now about this stuff. So much better.
Shay, it's kind of funny you said that because I feel like I had a week where I actually said something like that and it backfired. I think it might have been New Mexico also. And I was like, I was like, we'll be fine. I said, we'll be fine. And we ended up winning like 59-49. 52-49. It was like a close game, shootout. Yeah, backfired all the way.
That's what happens because then they put it on their bulletin board and then they're fired up. That's what Coach Pete never wanted, man. We don't want to put stuff on their bulletin board, so because they'll just give them a little extra edge. And even if it is like New Mexico or, North Texas or someone like that, it's still they'll have an extra edge. And this is the way it is. That's funny, though.
Hold up. You guys spend all these hours training in the off season, preparing for games in between classes, all this stuff, all this time that you guys pour into this sport. And all of a sudden, because some backup linebacker at Air Force says something, all of a sudden that provides you with just this much more motivation, which could turn into just an unbelievable performance on any given Saturday. That's like real. Like you're saying, that's real.
It's trash talk. That's how you got to take it as. Yeah.
It's all trash talk. Yep. They're going to say something before the game. All right, we're going to make you feel it on the field then. Okay, you want to be like that? All right, we ain't gonna say nothing. We're just gonna prove it on the field and smack you in the face.
But Shay, hold up here, man. Like, that's what you said your game was in college. Like, you would trash talk on the field. How is trash talking to a guy's face on the field any different than doing it through the media? Because if you ask me, if somebody's in front of your face doing it like that would ignite me more.
Yeah, maybe that person, but it's not the whole team, not the whole staff pumping the whole team up about it. You know what I mean? If I'm one on one with the guy, that's different. You know, if I'm in his face, he ain't gonna go tell his team, "Oh, this guy called me a bad name on the field." You know what I mean? He's just be mad at me for that, and then we get into it. That's cool. I'll just keep talking more trash. I'll just keep beating you, whatever. All right. But if you say it in the media, then then the whole team hears about it, and then the coaches are like extra pumping it up and everything, and everyone else gets fired up. So
Yeah. If we I mean, Shay, you know I like you. You're a good dude, but we never. I mean, like straight up, you didn't look forward to talking to us, and because of that, we never necessarily looked forward to talking to you. I remember the
you know,
Senior Bowl for whatever reason. You got down to the Senior Bowl, and I remember talking with you there, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" Because like you turned into like a great interview. I remember, like I do. I
yeah,
thought like all of a sudden the handcuffs were off, and Shea McClellin is a good interview. Um,
yeah,
so if you were one of the guys we didn't necessarily look forward to talking to, Shane kind of was on the opposite end of that spectrum because I felt like Shane, you always kind of did provide us with a little bit of something. I will say this though, my favorite interview of all time, Jarrell Gavins, and that is because he was injured in 2010, and we interviewed him prior to the 2011 season. Guys, I can't remember the question, but we did not set him up. Like Shay, you were saying sometimes we rephrase things and we set you guys up. We did not set Jarrell Gavins up. He came to this interview, I firmly believe, ready to say what he was going to say, and he said that if he didn't get injured in 2010, Boise State would have won a national championship. And guess what, guys? That was the last time we talked to Jarrell Gavins all season.
yep, exactly, man. That guy was so funny, man.
He
He was
was.
awesome. He was awesome. I loved it. But yeah,
I
for
gotta
sure.
say,
Say something like that, you ain't gonna talk again for sure. Coach P ain't letting that happen.
yeah, I gotta say, man, Jarrell, like in terms of like his interceptions per games or like the impact he made when he was healthy, it was tremendous. I mean, like almost like a Dante Dion level. I don't know what it was about Dante, Darian Thompson. Those guys made getting turnovers look so easy when they were here, and I feel like that's going to be a topic for another podcast one day that we can dive into even more. But really quick, I want to get back to settling the quarterback battle because we got away from that. And I'm taking advantage of your honesty and your transparency at this moment because that's what you can be now that you no longer are Boise State football players. But for
Exactly.
Shane, you had to go through a quarterback battle. Heck, a couple of them for that matter, because there were health injuries and stuff like that that happened throughout your career at that position. All throughout fall camp, we have heard it doesn't matter who is back there throwing you the football. Shane, does it matter which quarterback is back there throwing you the football?
I guess it depends on who you're talking to. As a receiver, so me personally, so let's just break down one of ours. So I'd say
Coach
like the
P
Brett
and Brian Hart
Rippin.
aren't listening, okay? Like the coaches aren't
Let's say
listening.
let's say
Whatever.
I'm gonna explain what I mean by that. So let's say like
Love
the
it.
Brett Rippin, Ryan Finley era, right? So that was one of the quarterback competitions that, and then we also had the Grant and the Joe Southwick. So it's different. So I'll go with Joe Southwick and Grant Hendricks. So we knew with Grant as a receiver, I know with Grant, if the play breaks down, there's still a chance I'm making the ball because Grant can get away and still make a play. Versus if play breaks down with Joe, it's probably gonna be a sack. He can't really move as well as Grant. Also, I knew that Joe could throw a good deep ball, but I also knew that Grant could also throw a little bit better deep ball. So it's kind of like that. That's how it is. It's like not a huge difference, but certain guys throw certain passes better. I felt like
But
depending on if it was a screen, a deep ball.
So why
What's up?
was Joe ever quarterback?
Because he
Grant had
sat behind Kellen.
escapability.
He sat behind Kellen. He waited his turn. That's really what it came down to. And as you saw, he started that year. What was that? My sophomore year. He started the year off, and then Joe got hurt week 2, and then Grant took over the reins and just we ran with it. And
Yeah.
I think obviously we all know that after looking back at it, Grant had an awesome season. We won the Fiesta Bowl, and he had games where he had over 100 rushing yards and he had 200 passing yards. But that wasn't something that Joe could have offered because that wasn't, he didn't have that athleticism.
Yeah. I feel like Grant Hedrick, I feel like you could easily argue he's probably the most undervalued, underappreciated quarterback in school history. Because he was tough too. I remember that hit he took in 2014 against Colorado State down near the goal line. He just got absolutely blasted. And he came back in and he finished the game and he led you guys to a Fiesta Bowl. I always feel like he's one of the more undervalued quarterbacks in school history. And you even hear the current quarterbacks talk about some of the guys, the Kellen Moores, the Brett Rippins, Jared Zabranskis. I always feel like they skip over Grant. I think that's because he's probably kind of a quieter guy. Like, I don't know how much he's still connected to the program, how often he comes back.
Because he only had a year.
Like and he only had one full year, basically. Yeah, he only had one full year, basically. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Brett, Kellen, those guys all had multiple years. Grant had 1 year, and he made the most of it.
I think out of everything, like Boise State, excuse me, has great depth at quarterback right now. I know that they're confident that Jack Sears is going to be an awesome number 2 behind Hank Bachmeier, and if Hank ever goes down, which his health injury would suggest, be ready, Jack. Behind him, Taylon Green, a guy that is a true freshman, but might be the fastest guy in the program. Coaches are raving about him. But you just bring up Kellen Moore, Brett Rippin. These were 2 extremely durable quarterbacks. And in the last, really since Kellen left, you're looking at 2-3 seasons where you've had a quarterback make it through the full season. Outside of that, there's been a lot of rotations due to injuries or performance, one way or the other. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this offense. They say that Hank's getting rid of the ball quicker. He's eliminating those times where he's hanging on to the ball too long. So it's going to be exciting a week from now, guys. Like, I feel like the anticipation is building. Let me ask you this as we wrap up today, and that's your thoughts on UCF, Shea. And I don't know how much you know about the team, but we could probably even go broader and just talk about the program, because little brother out of Orlando has been barking for quite some time now.
Oh my gosh, I can't stand it, man. I want us to win this game so bad, just because so we can shut their fans up. They think they're national champs from whatever year it was, 2016 or whatever. It's just beyond ridiculous. All right. They still talk about it like, they won the lottery or whatever it is. It's just, I think that brings an extra excitement to this game, because I think, all Bronco fans just want to shut these UFC fans up. UFC? UCF? Okay.
Yeah. It could turn into Ultimate Fighting down there. Right?
Yeah,
Like if you bring your trash talking game to Orlando, that's what it might turn into there, Shea.
No, I'm gonna save that for this Saturday. But yeah, man, I think for me personally, I'm super excited and I want this win badly, man. Almost like we're playing BYU. You know what I mean? Like, we got to win this. All right, we have to win this. Let's go. Let's get after it.
Yeah, Shane, same deal. It feels like so much pride is on the line. Andy preaches the brotherhood. Like, I feel like the reputation of the brotherhood is, it's up for grabs right now. Can you push the little brother back down and remind him of his status, or his little brother is getting bigger and stronger than big brother? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think, Shea?
I think, like you said, I think we're in the same predicament. I think we have to win this one because of everything that's happened, in the recent history. of this group of five, these group of five programs. But I think the thing that throws a monkey wrench in there is, Gus Malzahn, them going over to UCF. That's huge for them. I mean, you got a coach that's won a national championship. We know what kind of offense he runs, and then he's walking into a situation where he's had a quarterback that's started for the last 2-3 years, and that guy can sling it. So that's one thing where I'm glad that we have a defensive coach. So I'm interested to see how the defense holds up. This vet quarterback, vet coach, a proven coach. So it's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, and by the way, Gus's ties to the national championship game are from when he was at Auburn, and those are legit. Those aren't made up. Those are actually factual, unlike the current program that he is leading.
Yeah, exactly.
Shea, before we get out of here, I just saw you nodding your head when Shane brought up Gus Malzahn. Why? Why is that your reaction? Because clearly you feel something there.
Yeah, man, he's a good coach. I've studied his offenses and, took some of his stuff and put it in, my philosophy on offense. So, I'm not saying he's the best coach ever, but definitely his national championship, that speaks for itself. Played in the toughest division in the nation, you know what I mean? So, and he's got athletes at UCF, man, fast, athletic dudes. And like Shane said, they got a quarterback that's experienced, man. And, I think experience is key, especially in college football. So it's definitely interesting. And like Shane said, I'm glad we have a defensive-minded coach. So it's going to be fun to watch. Can't wait.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I feel like that's an awesome place to leave it this week and a great place to pick it up next week. Shea McClellin studying Gus Malzahn's offense. Guys, it's been fun. A great little foundation. Can't wait to hang out with you once a week throughout the fall, get your insights, your thoughts on the local sports scene, but obviously mainly Boise State football. Fellas, I appreciate it, and we'll do this again next week.